Go blue, everybody. Jim Harbaugh to the Chargers seems pretty much a done deal. Next on Michigan Wolverines Live. And welcome to another episode of Michigan Wolverines Live. Today is Tuesday, January 23rd, 2024. My name is John Diadamo. I'm going to be your host for the next hour. You can follow me on Twitter at John Diadamo. Pretty self-explanatory there. We do have a guest tonight. Before we bring him on, I do want to give two quick reminders to please, as you get in here, hit the like button. It just takes a second, and it's free, so you might as well, right? And it helps support what we're doing and get it out to more people. Hit the subscribe. We are in a battle right now with Ohio State, and they are ahead of us by about 1,000 and change subscribers. That we don't want that. We just won the national championship here, folks. Hit the subscribe button. Don't let Ohio win. We haven't let them win on the field the last 3 years. Don't let them win in the channel race either. And if you can just share this link, even with one person or a Facebook group or a Discord chat, just throw the link in there and say, hey, we got a conversation going on here at Michigan Wolverines Live. All of that would be appreciated to help grow our audience and let people know what's going on. This is, I think, valuable content that we're putting out there. So if you can do that. And if you want to make sure your comment or question, because we have a lot of topics today, make sure your comment or question is read first. You're going to want to send a super chat. I don't care if it's a buck. I don't care if it's, $500, whatever you want. Any amount, and we'll read it first. I'm also going to try to prioritize, if I know that you're a Discord or Patreon or YouTube member, I'll try to prioritize those as well. But anyway, without further ado, let's bring on our guest today. New to Michigan Wolverines Live here, but I've been following his stuff on Twitter, and I've really enjoyed it. So I wanted to bring him on. TJ Konarski from Ronin Sports Talk. TJ, go blue.
Yeah, go blue, and we'll see how things go with Harbaugh. Looking forward to a good show. Maybe news breaks while we're here.
Hey, that would really be something if the news broke right while we're talking. So chat, our loyal community, keep your eyes peeled while we're broadcasting. If there's breaking news, we'll report it right away. But I figured we'd start with the elephant in the room, or the Wolverine in the room, or whatever you want to call it. That apparently, according to Sports Illustrated, the Chargers have made a very strong offer to Jim Harbaugh. And, there's discussion about potentially a GM, the general manager that he might want. It's starting. The tea leaves. I thought 6 months ago it was the Raiders, but then they really fell in love with their coach and decided to keep him. So the Chargers seem like it. TJ, what have you been hearing? And just give your take on what's going on.
Yeah, so I found out yesterday afternoon that the Chargers owner flew Jim out with his wife, Sarah.
Yeah.
And it appears ever since that meeting, things have been progressing quickly. Currently, the deal is nearly completed in terms of progress. Now, just like Minnesota 2 years ago, anything can happen. So, and there were rumors today about Pete Carroll possibly making a late rush to the position. So I think we're just gonna have to wait and see. It's trending Chargers, but until it's over, it's not over. So we will see.
Yeah. The Falcons is in the mix, and I kind of thought that was a lock for Bill Belichick.
I'm thinking it's gonna be Bill Belichick. There is a second interview aligned, right? But I'm thinking Bill Belichick's gonna get that position.
Yeah, and like Washington, I just don't think he wants to go play, or go coach at over there at FedEx Field necessarily, or doing that kind of rebuild. That would be tough. I could see like a coordinator getting that job, like a good coordinator. I could see Eric Bieniemy potentially getting it.
Ben Johnson.
I mean,
that's the name I'm seeing linked to that position. So hopefully not. I mean, if you're a Lions fan, hopefully not. But we'll see.
They're gonna try to get someone that's
Yeah,
decent.
yeah. I'm thinking it's gonna be Ben Johnson, but I'm hoping that doesn't happen. But yeah, I mean, with the Harbaugh situation, then the question becomes, where does Michigan go? And I'm thinking Sherrone Moore's the logical next head coach, and it does seem to be trending that way. I would say Kalen DeBoer was an option, but Alabama took. So
yeah. Well, but the first thing, just before we jump off of this, I want to know. So I heard that he would bring potentially Jesse Minter and potentially Jay Harbaugh to the Chargers, but I kept hearing, please don't say Ben Herbert. Like anybody but Ben Herbert, because I think that him and Sherrone Moore together help build the culture that Michigan has now. So it sounds like that isn't going to be happening. Is there anybody else you hear might go alongside Minter and Jay Harbaugh if this does happen?
Yeah. So right now we have Jesse Minter is very likely. You can pretty much say he's gone. Jay Harbaugh is obviously the son, so he's going to be gone. Grant Newsom's a name we're hearing, right? But he might get promoted O-line coach. So I think that might be enough to make him stay. And I think it would be the next logical step, considering he was the tight end coach, right? Which would be the same progression that Sherrone Moore had from tight end to offensive line. So I'm thinking that may be enough to stay. Mike Elston's a name to watch, but I just was reading something from a legitimate source that he might get promoted to co-defensive coordinator. So, but the thing to watch is Jesse Minter's gone. So who's going to be the next defensive coordinator, right? And I think what they might be looking for is an experienced coordinator. I would think possibly Clinkscale because he's familiar with the scheme, right? But
yeah.
And he is co-defensive coordinator, and he does the back end of the defense. So, I mean, if anyone knows the schematics, it's him. So we'll see. The name to watch for defensive coordinator is Jim Leonard, former Wisconsin defensive coordinator. That's a name to watch.
Wow. I've been talking about Jim Leonard for USC, and then they went with UCLA's defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
You think they'd go out external and maybe leave the kind of 4-2-5 kind of multiple that they built up?
So the belief is actually they would continue the scheme that Minter and McDonald has already instilled in the program. But they would bring in an external candidate or an external coordinator because they want the experience with a first-time head coach, right? So we'll see, though. I mean, I think it's potentially possible you see something with Clinkscale and Mike Elston because they know the culture, they know the scheme. I mean, honestly, Elston should probably be a defensive coordinator somewhere. An extremely talented defensive line coach. We're lucky to have him at Michigan. So
yeah,
and Clinkscale's ready too, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be a disservice if Michigan went external, at least from a head coach perspective. I think if Jim Leonard is a very experienced DC, I think we would be happy to have him. But I just want to make sure, that the Michigan defense, is still upheld because that's what's been beating Ohio State, and now Washington is going to be joining, and Oregon, and it's not just Ohio State that's going to have that high octane offense anymore. Now it's going to be a couple of Ohio States, right? And so having that defense is I think is going to be really key.
Yes, yeah, especially because we got USC, we got Washington.
Yeah, USC.
Major step back for Washington. I don't imagine they'll be nearly as competitive as they were this year.
Right.
But we got Oregon, USC. I don't think we have UCLA next year, correct? I think that's 25. So
25, I think. Yeah, it used to be 24, and then they changed it.
Right. So, because Chip Kelly, but I mean, I think keeping the scheme is the right move. We'll see what they go with there. But I just want to touch on Herbert.
Yeah.
Apparently he's too pricey for the Chargers. So
good.
They don't want to spend like $1 million plus on a strength and conditioning coach because at the pro level, strength and conditioning coaches aren't as valued as they're at the college level. So Plus, you know, a
A lot of
little
them have their own trainers, right? A lot of them have their own personal trainers.
in the offseason, correct. So also the nephew of Herbert's coming to Michigan this year. So Zach Ludwig, linebacker out of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm down with Leonard as long as they don't do this. And this is we have to address this silliness because Bruce Feldman put it out there and others have put it out there, and we need to remind people that that these agents and reporters have symbiotic relationship, right? Because agents give reporters scoops, and then in return, reporters get these names out there so that Brian Kelly can negotiate himself a nice raise at LSU for doing for I guess having a Heisman quarterback and going 9-3. But Brian Kelly, why would they do this, or is this just 100% BS?
100% BS. There's no way it's happening. It's gonna be Sharon Moore.
Yep.
I've also heard that it's his agent leaking this. So
that's what I thought.
Because from Michigan inner circles, he's not on the radar. So from the people I'm hearing things from. So
good.
I think it's something that's more just trying to get his name out there, potentially creating value, like you said with LSU.
Yeah.
I don't see it happening. I actually don't think it'd be too long of a search either. Like, so say Harbaugh does leave for the Chargers, so to be determined. I don't think Michigan will wait long. I think they want to get everything going. I think within a week, you would get that completed.
Yeah, because really the only wait would be putting together his deal and negotiating that might take a couple of days. But like, it's pretty clear that Sharon Moore's been made the head coach in waiting, especially because he was picked to be the head coach, the interim head coach during that final stretch, and of course beat 2 top 10 teams. Thank you very much. So so picking an external candidate after an OC beats Ohio State, I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, no, and also it's Brian Kelly, right? So it's not that he's a terrible coach, but if Kalen DeBoer was available, I do think they would look at that. But considering he's not, and all the top candidates are gone this cycle, I'm thinking they're probably just going to go with Sharon Moore and see how it goes for next season. Probably give him a 2-year window, and we'll see how it goes.
There you have it. So you heard it right from TJ. 100% BS, and I believe it too, which means that would make it 200%. So there you go. There's your Michigan difference math for you. Yeah. So before we hop into the way too early depth chart, we've got a couple of reminders for everybody. When you're doing your shopping on Amazon, as many of us do from time to time, go ahead and hit the link in all of our videos, and then Voice of College Football gets a couple of bucks, and we can continue pushing out great content and channels and guests and all of this kind of stuff. So please consider doing that if you're already going to be shopping on Amazon. Hit up Patreon or YouTube membership on Voice of College Football. It starts at just $2.99. And sometimes Moose will just gift people subscriptions, so you might just be if you just contribute a lot, you might get a gifted subscription as well, and that gets you access to the Discord, 24/7 chat, and all of that good stuff. And finally, we have merch. Yes, we do. So go on. It's almost Valentine's Day. Maybe there's a college football significant other or friend or whatever the case may be for you to kind of get that going. I'm going to send the direct link to the Michigan portion of it, because we do have our friend Joey Foster, who puts this together and manages all the channels, has set us up with some specific Michigan gear, including a Rose Bowl tee, a national champion Michigan Wolverines tee, mug. We got hoodies. You got football flags. You even have a Michigan football dog bowl. So these are some of the things that you can take part in Michigan football merch store. So go on and check that out if you have a second. All right. So I'm extremely curious to hear your thoughts here. I got some feedback from the community last night, and I asked them, Do you want to hear about Harbaugh for an hour, or do you want me to talk about a depth? To start talking through what the depth chart might look like, and resoundingly, the answer was we want to hear about the depth chart. We don't want to talk about Harbaugh for an hour. So that's what we're gonna do what the people want, and talk through who might be the quarterback, and then every other position on the offense. So I'm giving, and I want to hear your thoughts on this, TJ. But after looking at some of Alex Orji's film from the spring game where he did make 2 passes, and his high school film where he was slinging it, I have now seen enough of his passing ability to say if he can continue to do that in practice, and Kirk Campbell likes what he sees and thinks he can mold him, at least he doesn't have to be JJ in the passing game. He just has to be Cade McNamara. I mean, I just think he needs to be moderate, and because his running ability is so good that like defenses are going to have to account for a running ability that's really strong, like so strong that they actually used him against Alabama and against Washington, right? I think he was in both games, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So that's some confidence to go in the biggest games all year and put this guy in there, alongside JJ. So I've got him as the starter, or if he can't quite cut it, transfer quarterback to be determined. Where are you at with starter?
So we're on the same page. I do think Alex Orji is going to get the look. My concern is his accuracy. So in college, he was like a 56% thrower, or not in college, I'm sorry, in high school. Yeah. And that's typically hard to translate into college or improve. Joe Milton had a similar completions percentage in high school. So he did improve once he got to Tennessee, but I do think personally, I think we're going to reach for the portal. I don't think Orji, although athletically gifted, I don't know if he's the answer. And I know you said like at least have a Cade McNamara floor. With the Big Ten expanding like we spoke about, I just don't know if that's enough. We're trying to get into the 12-team playoff. Even though Jim Harbaugh's leaving, I think the playoffs are still the goal. Like I know Ohio State's loading up like no other right now.
Right.
We just have to. I mean, we can still beat Ohio State. Our defense is going to be elite. I know we're talking offense, but the defense will be elite next year. The offense is going to have 10 new starters.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I think Orji's going to get the look in spring ball, and then they're going to look for a portal candidate if they don't like what they see. If I'm a betting man, I think we're going to go portal. I really do.
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, right? Like I think it's Orji, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they try. Like there are plenty of transfer quarterbacks that are going to be flowing through that thing. Some are in there already. We've heard some names, the James Madison quarterback, potentially as one that I kind of have heard whispers about.
Yeah, I think he's interesting. I'm intrigued by him. I think his last name is McLeod or something of that nature. And then there's Will Rogers.
It's true.
He's interesting, kind of.
Yeah, Jordan McLeod.
Yeah, Jordan McLeod. Yeah. So McLeod, he's interesting. I mean, his height's the negative, but athletic, accurate. So, he could be an option. But I do believe, with spring ball, you get a lot of competition. There's starters, there's backups. Someone's going to enter the portal. Plus, JJ leaving, there's some NIL money out there. I do think Michigan would tip its toes for a starting quarterback in the pay for play space for next year, to be competitive, to give Sharon Moore the best opportunity. I do know NIL wise, they're trying to be more, I don't want to say aggressive because they're not going to be Ohio State, but more competent than where they've been the last few cycles. So,
well, the champion circle, and I think it was at like 700K out of the million last I checked. Add that to what they're doing with the donors.
Right.
They're finally okay. I don't know why they weren't before, but I've heard Chris Ballas was saying they're finally okay with asking donors to contribute to NIL, which apparently was a sticking point. And I'm like, a sticking point for who and how quick can we fire that person? Because that to me is like when everybody else is funneling all this money into NIL.
Yeah, so I mean, we have a regent philosophy. Like our regents have a philosophical difference with modern day college football. Ward Manuel's not the biggest ambassador of NIL, so we'll see. Hopefully, they're more progressive. I know they got woken up with the poaching that was going on from our roster. So I mean, I'm hoping they adapt. I mean, it's been a long. I mean, it's been what 2.5 years now since NIL's been legal.
Absolutely.
So we'll see. We need we need a more progressive athletic director, in my opinion.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what Ward does here. This is his opportunity to show everybody he can do it. So.
Absolutely. So as far as the rest of the QB depth chart, I'm kind of feeling Jaden Denegal at that QB2 position for right now. I think they could get a transfer at QB, like somebody like a Bowman, for depth. And then, I know some people may be upset with Jaden Davis being this far back. I know we were all excited about Jaden Davis. I'm hoping that he, I see this as being the depth chart before spring ball, and then over time, over spring ball, fall camp, and then through the season, I hope to see Jaden go up to QB2 by the time we hit, the end of the year, so that he gets that look for starter in 2025. What's your take on Jaden Davis and kind of where he fits into all of this?
Well, he's a freshman, so the likelihood of him getting meaningful reps or starting this year are so low. I don't see it. I mean, I'd like to see him. Hey, maybe he blows him away. I mean, I know he had a good bowl practices. I know that was good. But I mean, I see them either going Alex Orji or a transfer quarterback for starting. Jaden Davis will probably be third. I mean, maybe he'll get some, like they did with JJ, late in the game, his freshman year, give him some reps when we're blowing teams out. Because I do expect we will be blowing some teams out because we're going to have a good running game. Defense will be good. It's just going to be who's our quarterback and what can they do. So, can Jaden Davis work up the depth chart too? I mean, that's going to be a big storyline this spring ball and the fall camp. So, I mean, he'll be third at worst, second at best, in my opinion. Unless we bring in a transfer, then he could be third at best, because I'm sure Orji will, although then, you got to look at maybe Orji transferring out, but yeah, I think that's, because, that could happen. If you bring in a new portal quarterback and he starts over Orji might transfer out. But I mean, that's kind of what it,
Yeah. So I have Jaden Davis Warren as the Dan Villari of this depth chart, and when I say that, Dan Villari was going to be the quarterback if we had to play Ohio State in 2020 because everyone else was out with COVID. Right. Davis Warren is the Dan Villari. In other words, if we have no one else and we need a quarterback emergency situation, I might even put Donovan Edwards in, honestly, before Davis Warren. I'm sorry. I just don't. I think he had his flash, and I love his story, and I'm glad he's still here. I hope he helps, as maybe a pseudo coach, kind of like I'm trying to think of the quarterback at Iowa after Cade came in, Petrus, who kind of was a coaching person in the locker room after Cade became QB1. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I see the flow here.
Well, considering he's fourth on the depth chart, it could be worse. He's solid in the for a depth quarterback, he's solid. So I mean, he looked decent in spring ball, or no, actually, was it spring ball or was it? Actually, he didn't play very well in spring ball, but
no,
he did.
You're thinking of last spring. Spring game, he played okay.
Yeah, we all had hope, but yeah, I'm sure we'll bring in a portal quarterback. I'm sure Jaden Davis will play if needed, so it won't be a problem.
Here you go. Whoa, can they catch him? No. The Don is back, and the Ohio State Slayer, and the guy who obviously was working through an injury, but then against Washington, I kind of thought this might happen because Washington's defense isn't great. That Donovan Edwards had another of his characteristic performances with big runs, and he's decided to come back for which I think we're all excited about. So I could see him and Khalil Mullings being like that lightning and thunder
Yep.
kind of pairing, similar to Hassan Haskins and Blake Corum in 2021. Do you see them kind of doing that in the run game?
100%. I mean, we're definitely going to do a dual running back system. I don't think that will change. But I also want to point out, this is probably the strongest running back room we've ever had. When you look at Khalil Mullings, Ben Hull, Cole Cabana, Jordan Marshall, Michael Capana, I mean, that's insane. Like, that's just nasty. I mean, the speed, the talent, the different variation of running backs. I mean, we are strong. That is a room you don't got to worry about. Now the question is, can Donovan Edwards be the RB1?
Right.
I think Khalil Mullins might make a run for it. I'll be honest. I think he looked good this year.
He did.
Whenever he got the opportunity. So, but I definitely see a dual back system. We'll see who gets RB1 though. I mean, are you thinking Donovan Edwards is going to run away with it, or?
I don't know about run away with it. I could see 1A, 1B kind of thing, one way or another. We've seen Donovan kind of do some stuff in the slot. We've seen him kind of be a receiver. They'll probably continue utilizing him in that way, where he's a factor in the receiving game. Where Khalil can he's got that ability, like he's growing the ability like Blake Corum had, where if you need 2 yards, he's starting to be able to get you 3 or 4. He's getting to that point. I'm not saying he's Blake Corum yet. So let's be very clear, but I think he's somebody who's worked on things a lot since 2022 to really grow his skill set the last year.
Yeah, my concern for Edwards is, can he slow down and can he get patient? Because I think that's what really slowed his progression this year. I mean, he was just hitting the hole too fast, wasn't allowing the lanes to develop. But I mean, he has all offseason to be RB1, and I think he has the skill to do it, but can he do it? That's the question.
Yeah,
I think Khalil Mullins is. I really do. I think Khalil Mullins is going to get that RB1. I think they're going to do the same thing with Donovan Edwards. I mean, it might be more like a 60-40 split, but I don't know. I'm thinking Khalil Mullins is going to get it. That's just kind of where I'm leaning, but we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love it. And Darren Talks Ball, encouraging everybody to hit the like button. We appreciate that. Tell a friend. Just send this YouTube link to one person, or to a Facebook group, or to a Discord chat. Just do one of those things and it'll help us out, and it's free. So we appreciate that. After Khalil, so here's where it gets really interesting, because Ben Hall really impressed me in the periods where I have seen him play. It's going to be interesting because you've got him, but then you also have some real high level players behind him. Mika Kapana, I'm going to point him out for a second, because I think people are underestimating him. I know I have him at this level in the depth chart right this second, but that's because he's coming in as a recruit. So So I think he, along with Jaden Davis, and I've got Shannon Goodwin low, but I think all three of them could quickly rise the depth chart as we get through spring and fall. Like, the tape on him is unreal. I'm sure you've probably seen some of it, but
yeah, I mean, the big thing, the big hurdle for him is going to be adding size.
Yeah,
being able to play at this level. I think he's probably going to redshirt, to be honest.
Makes sense for this year. Yeah.
Jordan Marshall is a little bit more size ready, but I think they might redshirt him too. I mean, we have so much depth. I mean, Ben Hall, like you said, I think he's going to be a stud, man. I really do. I think I agree that is laughable. It's a joke.
Yep.
I'll tell you too, Cole Cabana, don't sleep on him. That kid's incredibly talented, incredibly fast. I think he might get kick returner or punt return duties next year.
That would make total sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you said, DJ, it's a stacked room, and so you could see as many as 2 or 3 of these people redshirting, just because it's so stacked. But you'll see them. Maybe you'll see some of these people during the first game of the season, or against somebody when we're up like 40-0 or whatever. You're probably going to see some rotation going on here, but But an area that I think we've been very weak, and it's something that I think we need to work on, next year, is wide receiver. I mean, I think we've had one like receiver that I'd say is at least in the universe of an Ohio State receiver, which is Roman Wilson. I think some of what he's done in terms of being a deep threat and running routes, and some of the stuff that he's done the last year to like elevate his game beyond the traditional, meh Michigan receivers that we always have, right? Or we've had for the last few years.
I
I'm
mean, we've had
hoping.
Nico
Yeah.
Collins, Donovan Peoples
Oh
Jones. I
yeah.
mean, we've had
Oh
some
yeah.
Black
I
before his
thought of
injury.
DPJ the second I said that, but I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, but but like the last 2 or 3 years, it's been kind of, you've got
yeah,
Cornelius made some big plays at times, but it's been a very tight end reliant offense in a lot of ways. And so what I would love to see is one of these players I currently have in the three positions: Tyler Morris at X or Z,
yep,
Samaj in the slot, and transfer as the other X or Z. So
yeah.
on the other side. I don't know if Frederick Moore or Carmelo English are quite there to get that other start. But what's your take on the three starter wide receivers?
Yeah, so we're on the same page. I have Tyler Morris, Samaj Morgan, and Frederick Moore, but I do think we're going portal shopping. I just think they need a big receiver, 6'3" or taller. I know they're high on Samaj Morgan. Tyler Morris does look ready for a bigger opportunity. Frederick Moore was all the talk last camp. So, Peyton O'Leary, the fan favorite. We'll see if he ever gets any action. But yeah, I mean, this is our weakest position group, especially on offense. Actually, on the whole team, I would say is probably the weakest position group. But it's not that it's not devoid of talent. I mean, Samaj Morgan might have a huge year next year, but I definitely see us going portal shopping. See, that's the thing too. Like, when this coaching situation gets settled, I expect a major uptick in not only recruiting, but when the April portal opens, I think we're going to get a quarterback. I think we're going to get a wide receiver, a cornerback, which you can talk about next week on your show.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so this is the biggest question mark. I think this room. Well, I mean, you could say offensive line because all the new starters, but in terms of confidence level, this might be our biggest question mark is the wide receiver room and quarterback. But I do think we'll go portal shopping there.
Yeah, and watch out. I could see Channing Goodwin redshirting, but watch out because this is a player, and I've seen his film. I just he is going to be really good. I could see him getting up to Roman Wilson levels in the future. He might need some time, but when Jaden Davis, I hope Jaden Davis takes over in 2025 the offense, and Channing Goodwin could get a position. And if those two are connecting again, like they were at Providence Day, then look out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Jaden Davis. I mean, I'm high on Jaden Davis. I know some people critique Jaden Davis, but I also saw Channing Goodwin. I wish we got Jordan Shipley. Too bad he went to North Carolina.
I know.
But yeah, I don't know if he'll make an impact his freshman year. I do think he could be a redshirt candidate. But Carmelo English is one to watch, though. I'm extremely curious to see what he does spring ball. Frederick Moore. I mean, this is the thing, though. This is youth right here. I mean, the future of the program is. Yeah, I agree. Carmelo English. I mean, that's the guy to kind of watch along with Frederick Moore, because we know what Tyler Morris is a little bit. We know what Samaj Morgan can be. No one's near their ceiling yet. So spring ball is going to show a lot. Plus, I'm kind of hoping if Sharon Moore takes over, do we open the passing game more? Who's the offensive coordinator? Because we didn't talk about that. Is it Kirk Campbell?
Oh yeah,
I think it could be. I do. I think it could be Kirk Campbell. I mean, he's a bright mind. So I'm sure we're gonna have the same identity of smashing, running the ball, right? But I think we could open the playbook, a little bit and get our wide receivers involved.
yeah, and especially because we're if you ever hope to want to get a 5-star or high 4-star wide receiver or quarterback in the future. Obviously, I think a lot of people were upset that we didn't get Underwood. But the thing is, like, you've got to open up the offense a little bit in the passing game to get those players to want to come here. Because right now, yes, we won a title. yay, right? Big,
Right.
awesome. You've got the shirt on and everything. It's a big deal.
Yep.
However, we did it with the run game and with play action pass, and the run being more prominent and our defense being prominent. And so wide receivers don't get as much of a chance to shine. And so I agree. I mean, if Kirk Campbell's the OC, you're going to see more passing. I mean, you just are. Like, he is. He works with the quarterbacks, and I think you'll see. I think you'll also see more complex passing routes than you've seen at times these last few years. I think Sharon Moore is obviously very focused on O line blocking, run, and Kirk Campbell, when he was the head coach, he was the play caller, one of the games this year, you saw, they were slinging it a little more, and I think you could
Right.
see a lot more of that.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that's a good point because when he was the coach, that we definitely did throw the ball more. It was like a lot more, and I was intrigued. I thought JJ was going to have a bigger year statistically.
There he is.
Yeah.
Friend of the program, Nick, who's called in before to the Ocho and to other shows. Kirk Campbell should absolutely be the OC. So the only pushback I'd say is Mike Hart. That'd be the only pushback could Mike Hart? I mean, Mike Hart's going to be a head coach in the very near future. I feel like maybe not quite yet, but I think he's going to be a head coach. So
yeah,
we'll see.
My only pushback on that is, I think Sharon Moore kind of has the run game down.
Yeah.
I just think we need a passing mind, a passing coordinator's mind.
I would like that.
I mean, it could be Mike Hart. He's kind of more tenured in a way.
Yeah, they're at least going to have to give him co-OC if they want to keep him, like or some type of major title, to keep him around another year. But it's very possible. So tight end, obviously, we literally just talked about the fact that our offense is heavily reliant on tight ends, and I think that will continue at least to an extent. Colston Loveland, I don't think there's any debate that he will continue to be tight end one. But then you have this guy Marlon Klein, who keeps being mentioned in all of these depth chart things, and I just kind of looked into him a little bit more, and I can see why he's being mentioned. I think him and then Max Bredesen might be that. I view him as the de facto fullback. I know we don't technically have a fullback, but anytime there's a running concept that needs an extra blocker, it's Bredesen, right? Most of the time. So I see those three being the starting tight ends in whatever way you want to just describe it. Is there anybody else who could get in there? Maybe a transfer tight end or.
No, I don't see them doing that. The room's loaded. This is another strong room. You have Hogan Hansen, Brady Prescorn coming, Zach Marshall. I think Zach Marshall's a sleeper to watch, but Marlon Klein, Colston Loveland should probably be the top two guys. Marlon Klein's, our German friend, played high school in Georgia, but Marlon Klein, I think you could see a Bredesen like year next year. Like a secondary option who can catch the ball. He's fast. He's got size. We'll see though. I mean, obviously spring ball is going to determine that. Max Bredesen is a fullback. I don't see him taking much reps from Colston Loveland or Marlon Klein, but Zach Marshall, I would actually maybe move him up on your depth chart. I think he could be one to watch. He's the more stretch tight end type that maybe could surpass Marlon Klein because we know Loveland's locked in. And then I don't know, could Brady Prescorn and shock people? Because I mean, look, you want to talk about recruiting rankings? They did him injustice, man. That's a 5-star tight end. I don't care what anybody says. He just didn't do any camps. That's a talent. That kid is talented.
Well, I think you saw that on 247 kind of treated the Michigan recruits and probably demoted them a bit from what they probably should be across the board. And Brady Prescorn, along with Mika Kapana, I think were two of the biggest jokes. He was a 3-star. Really? Have you watched even a minute of film of this guy? And Brady Prescorn's the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, unless you go to these camps, you're getting knocked. Like Brady Prescorn didn't go to any camps all summer. and they knocked him. But I mean, that's bullcrap. Just go to his games, watch the tape. The kid's a stud. I mean, he's arguably the best tight end in the country. That's the thing. Like if you look at all the other tight ends, you could argue he's the best tight end in the country.
Absolutely. So let's see. And Zach Marshall, I have no argument there. I interviewed the guy, and he's an awesome dude, and he seems very locked in, and he seems like he's following the process and exactly right. And so we'll see. I'd love to see him slide up the depth chart more. So keep your eyes peeled to that. And then I only have the starter OL here, and the reason is because there's literally like 20 freaking people. I mean, there are so many people at linemen, and so I kind of have maybe some idea of who might start, with the caveat that any of these, with maybe one exception, there are also transfers that they're going to look at, right? So in addition to some of these players, and I know there's a transfer in here, or two transfers, I think they could still raid the portal a little more. They have a history of doing it, and Sharon Moore, if he is the head coach, I think he'll probably continue that tradition. But I think you're going to finally see Crippen and El Hadi and some of these players finally take starting reps at linemen. I mean, where are you seeing this?
So we are on the same page again. This is how I have it. I think Hinton's going to be a beast. El Hadi's ready. The question for me is, who's center? Is it Raheem Anderson? Is it Crippen? Everything's
I have
pointing
Crippen right now, but
yeah, me too. But I just think, I don't know. There's a part of me that thinks Raheem Anderson might take it. Just because when he was recruited, the thought was he was the better prospect at the time, and then hearing the stories for camp the last few years, he was actually progressing better. But this last year, Crippen rose up the depth chart, so we'll see. Then Preby from Northwestern, I think that's a good pickup. That's a good pickup. I mean, I don't think it'll be something like Drake Nugent level pickup, but I think it's a solid fill-in gap stop. Yep. And then Andrew Gentry's a monster. If he can find his game, because he went on the 2-year Mormon mission, and he's been back. Is this the second year back now?
I think so.
Yeah, so 2 years in the weight room. Yeah, so I think that's where we're going to be at. You have the same offensive line I do, so I don't transfers though. It could happen. I mean, I think they will keep their eyes open. Like I said, I think if Sharon Moore's the head coach, they're going to be aggressive. I think they will. In April portal.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, I think any position group they're going to Michigan is known now for getting portal people, but also they don't just raid. What I love about it is they don't just raid the portal. They develop the talent that they have. Then they look not just at the flashy players, but they look at Coastal Carolina, right? And they look at who are the absolute best players from each division and each level of the sport, and so they look into that, where I think some people they use they just take the top flashy players. I think we can all agree, whatever side of the fence you're on as far as being a Michigan fan, that the scouting and the ability to find impact players at all levels in the transfer portal is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, I think Michigan takes an NFL-like approach. I think the way they scout it, the way they look for program fits, culture fits. I think they have an NFL executive running the recruiting department. What's his name? So I mean, I kind of feel like they have an NFL approach for the way that they do the scouting, the way they do the portals. The portal, looking at the portal.
But, Tom Gamble. Tom Gamble.
Right, formerly of Jacksonville.
Yep.
Former assistant GM in Jacksonville. So I mean, they do that, and then Denard Robinson was formerly of Jacksonville, working in the executive offices. So I think that's something that will continue when Harbaugh leaves. So we can look forward to that.
You want to talk about a rock star on campus? I went to Michigan when Denard was the quarterback, and you want to talk about just a straight up, like, everywhere he went, if it, you know, he people were running up and wanting to talk to him, get selfies,
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff. I mean, that was a player. He unfortunately got let down, I think, by some of the schematic stuff that was going on. But
and
as a
Devin Gardner.
quarterback, yeah, yeah. But as a quarterback and as a runner especially, I mean, when he called his own number,
Man, I mean, to this day, he's probably the most electric player I've ever seen in a Michigan uniform. In my lifetime. I'd argue. I mean, he was up for the Heisman. I mean, he wasn't up for the Heisman, but early. I don't remember what year it was, but he was getting like 120 yards a game rushing and like 150 plus yards throwing. He was just you couldn't touch him. He was killing it. But
absolutely. So Mark Rogers, voice of college football, is in the house, and he is asking everybody. It's not just me asking anymore. Who cares what I say? We got Mark Rogers in here saying hit the like button. So please, everybody, take 2 seconds and hit the like button, and tell a friend that we're rolling here. We really appreciate it. So thank you so much, Mark, for being here, and everybody on the line, because we've had a pretty poppin' show. So thanks for that. So I guess a couple of quick housekeeping notes, and I'm going to ask you for your final thoughts. But obviously we've got programming changes here at the Voice of College Football. So Big Ten Live is now Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern with Mark. So if you want to talk to Mark about Big Ten, pick up the phone and dial 888-99-RILEY and go on to Big Ten Live Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern, where Mark will take your calls. And then we are also doing we've made the Ocho its own show, which was originally the second block of this Big Ten Live, and we are going to be covering. The goal is to cover all 18 Big Ten teams in the offseason. So we did Illinois yesterday, and then on Monday we're going to have two guests for Nebraska. So we'll have Justin, who co-hosts with Mark, Nebraska Cornhuskers Live. And then we'll also have John Johnston, who is part of Corn Nation and runs that. So we'll be talking Nebraska football here on the Ocho. So stay tuned for that, and tell all your Cornhusker friends that we're going to be doing that, because it's going to be those are two really good guests. I think we'll have a great time. So with all that said, TJ, we appreciate you stopping by, man. And the reason I asked you to do this is, like, I've been seeing your takes on social, and I think you've really brought some interesting insight to the table. And so I really wanted to see if we could have you on, because I think it's been good, and I hope you come back sometime. But I'd love to give you a final thought, and then also, where can people find you on the internet?
Yeah, so I can be found on Ronin Sports Talk. I'm on Twitter or X, whatever you prefer. But for Michigan, we'll see what Harbaugh does. I would say it's not over till it's over, because you never know. But looking forward, I think we can still be optimistic about the future of the program. I still think we can compete for the 12-team playoff. And I think Sherrone Moore can keep the culture together. So, I think we have a lot to look forward to, and it's not doom and gloom. I also think, you'll see them get a lot more aggressive with recruiting, a lot more aggressive in the portal. And, it should be exciting, especially when we see who the new defensive coordinator is, or, what comes from the departures, in terms of coaching. Because I think the roster will stay intact.
Yeah, and we did have a couple of people ask. So before you go, a couple of people have asked about, do we really think? So they're challenging my headline, I think. Do we really think that Harbaugh is going to the Chargers? Yes, I really think that Harbaugh is going to the Chargers. I said 6 months ago I thought Harbaugh was going to the NFL. We did a whole show on it called Last Dance. You can check it out. Rewind the tape. About 6 months, the Last Dance episode. I just thought it would be the Raiders at the time, and it's turning out the tea leaves are saying it's going to be the Chargers. So, and yeah. I believe TJ, you agreed.
Unfortunately, I'm like 90% sure it's the Chargers. I'm leaving out 10% because we saw with Minnesota, right? But the way it's trending, the way he got flown out yesterday. It's everything is trending Chargers, but anything can happen. Jim could rub him the wrong way.
Yeah,
he could say something they don't like. He could
it's happened
demand.
before.
Yeah, so he has high demands too. So he's asking for a lot. He's asking for 15+ million.
This is it. Well, this is
Yeah,
really it right here.
I mean that could do it. Could do
The,
it.
the the Chargers offered him unlimited supply of milk. I think that might be
But
ball game there.
is it skim milk or whole milk?
That's a good
That
question.
matters, and because he won't do it if it's skim milk. He's not doing it.
2%. 2%. Yeah,
He's not
meet
going.
in the middle. Meet in the middle. Interesting. Well, yeah, I'm hearing 15 to 17 mil. And then he gets to pick his GM, and he's going to probably have a say in all aspects of the program, including who they draft. And you could probably expect to see at least a couple Wolverines in there. It's like a Pete Carroll. When Pete Carroll went from USC to the Seahawks, that first couple years, he knew those players so well that were coming up. Like it was almost like a competitive advantage, because he knew them so well. Well, Harbaugh has been recruiting these players now for how many years? So he knows it intimately. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm a little bummed out by it, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Wow. Yeah, 18. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, because Sean Payton, I think, was 17. So they probably wants to one up Sean Payton there a little bit. But but who knows?
Yeah, I thought because of the demands that the Chargers would pull out.
Yeah, me too.
I guess they're willing.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly do think though, like Michigan is doing mostly what they can. I don't know about the immunity clause that we've been talking about, but like I think they'd be willing to match the money. I just don't think I think Harbaugh wants a Super Bowl. And when he went to support his brother at the Ravens, I just thought, he's got to be thinking. The Ravens could win it all again this year, and then I'm going to be at the Thanksgiving table, and he's going to have 2 Super Bowl rings now. So I think he wants to get in there and try to get one for himself.
Yeah, I mean, I think I know a lot of people want to blame Ward. I'm not a Ward supporter, but I don't think Ward is the reason why this isn't happening. I think he does want to go. Thank you, Lady Lake.
That's my mom, by the way.
Okay.
She helped us get our intro song for the show. David Martinez does our intro song for us, so we really appreciate that. So please follow TJ because the takes that he gives are really interesting, and that's why I brought him on. Like he's, I eventually just saw so many, I was just like, let's see if he wants to come on. Why not?
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Plus, I'm a big fan of Mark Rogers, so been following him for a while. But on the Ward, on the Jim, I just think Jim's going to go. I mean, it's what he wants. Unfortunately, we have to deal with this every year. It hurts recruiting.
Yep.
It's not the best. It's not the healthiest thing for the program at all. But he's so great, you deal with it, right? So I just think his heart is to win a Super Bowl, which is unfortunate for us. But, I think Michigan will be okay. I don't think we're going to go back to Brady Hoke, Rich Rod era. Especially with the TV contract the way it is, especially with the 12-team playoff, I think Michigan's here to be a competitive powerhouse. Like they're not just going to be a middle of the Big Ten team. I think winning a national title awakened the taste of success, or I just don't see us going backwards too far. I do think next year. I mean, what are your expectations for next year if Sharon Moore's the head coach?
So I'm thinking somewhere between 9-3 and 10-2 and sneaking into the 12-team playoff. I'm somewhere in there because I could see losses against Ohio State and Columbus, Oregon or Texas. Texas is going to be ridiculous next year. I think. They did. I think Xavier Worthy is going pro, but they still have Quinn Ewers and they still have. Quite a bit schematically that, with Sark. I think Sark was one of the best Bama OCs that he had and you're just seeing it translate now to Texas. So yeah, it's I'm thinking 9-3, or if we're lucky 10-2, and you sneak into the 12-team playoff.
Yeah. I mean, I got Texas. I think we could beat Ohio State, though. I mean, even though they're loading up, offensive line's weak. Defensive line, our offensive line just dominates them. So that matters. They did get, they loaded up, though. But I do think we could still beat Ohio State. Oregon's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
So my goal is 10 wins, college football playoff, beat Ohio State. That's where I'm at.
And maybe get to do it twice. It's very possible that Michigan and Ohio State play twice next year, or even 3 times. So
yeah, I'm not against it. A lot of people are. They're like, oh, it'll ruin the rivalry. I don't think so.
No,
I think it'll only increase the rivalry, in my opinion.
Yeah, imagine all the fired up people in the chat rooms and everything if Michigan and Ohio State play 3 times. Like, well, I mean, it's gonna explode.
Like, can you imagine a playoff game? A playoff game? Like, the intensity of that game would just be insane.
Yeah, I think Nick said it best right here, friend of the program. I'm just stoked we won the last 4-team playoff ever. Go blue, baby. I think that says it all right there. I mean, can we just take a second? I know we've been talking about Harbaugh. I know we've been talking about the way too early depth chart. Folks, Michigan just won the national championship. Like, look at that shirt that TJ has on. National champions. That's Michigan right now. So, like, let's just enjoy that, because it obviously first one since '97. We've waited. We've gone through the dark ages. We've gone through Rich Rodriguez. I was on campus for Rich Rod. I was on campus for this guy here. I was on campus for him as well. 1 second here. We got this guy. So I was on campus for this guy, and that was fun. And
2011 was fun.
Absolutely, very true. Sugar Bowl, not bad.
Yeah, it was good.
But yeah, man, no, the national champions. So let's enjoy it a little.
Yeah, I agree. But 2024 comes right around the corner. It is 0-0, but
0-0.
Hey, they're never going to take it away from us, though. It won't ever be vacated. That's a bunch of bullshit. The NCAA is not going to take any of that. Here's a positive. If Harbaugh does leave, NCAA is going to back off, man. I fully expect them to just kind of let it go in the wind.
I think you're right.
Not that it was like as big as it was made, right? But I think they'll go much easier on whatever punishment they lay out, and I don't expect really anything severe by any means.
Yeah, especially because 11-6-1. I've studied that bylaw 10 ways to Sunday. Mm-hmm. And while the NCAA could still just decide have a 3-year suspension, they could. I just don't see the justification in the actual bylaw. I think what Connor Stallions did was a loophole, and quite frankly, he involved people who weren't staffers, and because of that, it technically, I don't think that a reading of that bylaw counts as, like, I think it's supposed to be intended for staff and staff scouting and staff stuff, not, hey, let's hire some folks, pay them via Venmo and have them film with iPhones. Like, I don't know. I think it's a fine. I think it's suspensions if Harbaugh stays. If not, maybe not even suspensions. And watch people's head explode if that actually is the case. If we just get a fine and some mild suspensions.
I think it will be a fine. I don't think we're gonna get much suspensions at all. There might be some, at worst, some scholarship deductions. But look, the CMU thing they can't figure out. No one knows the only one who knows is Connor Stallions, so he's not talking. So, I think I don't think Sharon Moore's gonna get suspended. I don't see it.
Nick has mentioned Zach Orr, who's currently at Baltimore as another potential. Like if they want to continue the John Harbaugh pipeline, the Ravens pipeline, then they could go Zach Orr as another option externally, and then they
Yeah,
keep
I
their
could see them
system.
doing that. I could see the Ravens using Michigan as a a feeder system for coaching. It worked out the 2 times already. So, I mean, Harbaugh will still have some influence on Michigan, right? I think you could potentially see someone from Harbaugh's staff eventually come to Michigan to get developed and become a future coordinator in the
Yeah.
NFL. There could be benefit from this.
Yeah, Mike Fort, who also great friend of the program. Will the Ravens' path close up with Jim leaving? I don't know. I
Yeah, I
mean,
don't
I
know.
think there's still good ties there with Sharon Moore and with everybody else.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, you could potentially maybe the next DC is some type of position coach for the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, it's very
I
possible.
think they will hire an experienced defensive coordinator. I'm not too sure if Clint's going to get the opportunity.
Yeah. All right, sir. So I like I said, I appreciate you stopping by. I'm going to take care of a little housekeeping and
Right.
send people to Oregon, but go blue and please everybody make sure that you follow Ronin Sports Talk, right?
Yep.
Yep. So there it is, Ronin Sports Talk, and TJ. Hope you come back and go blue.
Yeah, go blue, and thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Okay, a couple housekeeping things before we wrap. As always, when you're doing your shopping on Amazon, as many of us do from time to time, just hit that Amazon link in any description that Voice of College Football does. You'll go ahead and support our network by doing that same shopping experience. When you go and you want to support us another way, you could do it via joining the Patreon or YouTube membership for just $2.99. So consider that. We do have new merch, the Voice of College Football merch store. So we're going to go ahead and put the link to that right in the chat so that everybody can appreciate the new merch. So check that out. And there's a lot of really high quality stuff in there that our buddy Joey Foster has put together here. Whether it's a national champion mug, whether it's a T-shirt, a Rose Bowl. We have the Rose Bowl final score T-shirt on here now. Pint glasses, hoodies, flags, pet bowls, you name it. We've got Michigan gear for you. So check that out, and we really appreciate all of it. And of course, we've got Lady Lake. Thank you. Great new merch. So we appreciate that. And also, of course, some more for you. We do have some new channels. We've got the SEC channel, so consider checking that out, as well as our new Big 12 channel at the Voice of College Football. And then finally, we have the encouragement to be a sponsor. So if you have a business or a product or a service that might benefit from an enthusiastic group of college football fans from all across the country, consider sponsoring Voice of College Football. Go to MarkRogersTV at gmail.com. If you have a product, a service, a personal brand, we can do sponsorships for personal brands or business that just would benefit from some more exposure. We've had a ton of people on the line for this show, and we appreciate that. And we have obviously on the main channel more than 44,000 subs, and consider sponsoring MarkRogersTV at gmail.com. So the next show we've got is coming up with Oregon Ducks Live. And so Exploring with Ben puts together a great show every week, and we want to go over and give them some love. So that's coming up. Let me just double confirm the time. Sometimes they change the time on me. Let's see. It is 10:15. So there you go. I'm going to put the link right here. So everybody can just go ahead, and I'm going to ask you all if you can. If you can't make the show, I understand people have lives. I get it. There's other things going on, but if you can, at the very least, go over, make sure to hit the like button here, but then also go over and hit the like button for the Oregon Ducks show, so that they can kind of get a nice head start for Oregon Ducks Live as they discuss all of the topics that are happening. They're actually going to be doing a 2024 schedule preview today. So if you want to hear how the Oregon Ducks might do with their 2024 schedule, go on over to Oregon Ducks Live with Exploring with Ben and a cast of characters that might be part of that. Let's get some final thoughts here from the chat, the Voice of College Football community. There you go. No man is more important than the team. No coach is more important than the team. The team, the team, the team. There you go. Love that. Yes, don't forget about Aura. Aura is another one of our sponsors. And if you do a 14-day trial, this significantly helps the network. And it helps you because you can protect yourself online. So please consider getting a free trial of Aura. Aura.com/MarkRogers. Yes, Harbaugh took his wife with him to the Chargers. So they are enjoying a nice, as Account 22 said, a nice family vacation in SoCal. Thank you, Jackson. Michigan football, Voice of College Football now at 6,500 subs. Let's get it to 7,000 subs. And then let's get it to 8,000. And let's go ahead and beat Ohio State. All right. So everybody tell, 100 people to sponsor, and then we could beat Ohio State. It's that easy. So to subscribe. So get them all to subscribe, and then we could potentially start lapping Ohio State. We got a long way to go, and I need everybody's help. All right. Harb's playing us all 22. He's just seeking attention right now. I mean, I think he's going to the Chargers, honestly. I think he's going to take $18 million, go to the Chargers, take Jesse Minter and Jay Harbaugh, and then we can be done with this. And then Sharon Moore can be the head coach. We all know that's where it's headed if he leaves, where Sharon Moore is going to be given the job within the next 7 days. They'll probably have to negotiate the new contract and all of that stuff. That'll probably take about a week, but they're going to want to rush on that because of recruiting, so they can continue on the recruiting trail, because all of the coaches are recruiting right now. So they're all trying to recruit players as we speak. Let's see here. Yeah, let's just surpass the Kardashians. There you go. What are they at? Like 1 billion followers? I think we can get 1,000,000,001. Absolutely. Go Blue, go Lions. They're doing great. Hutch, DPJ, let's go. Let's go. I agree. It's killing recruiting. I agree. Michigan recruiting is non-existent with the coaching. Yeah, I mean, we've got look, they've locked a pretty solid class in already. And then obviously they've gotten in a few transfers, but I think you're going to start once the decision is made, whether Harbaugh is staying or going, you're going to see things ramp up a bit with the transfer portal and recruiting. Joshua Layfield, no, what's killing recruiting is, so we got a little bit of debate going on in the chat right now. We aren't putting out NIL money. These kids would come here regardless of Harbs or more. I've given my take on NIL that I think there are certain players like a Bryce Underwood that you want to give money to, right? You got to find a way legally to do it, of course, with collectives. But that's the type of player that it's actually okay to try to take from LSU, right? Because that's a generational impact player potentially. But I don't think that insert 5-star wide receiver, 17-year-old wide receiver should be getting $2 million. I don't think that. I think that there's merit to what Michigan is doing, which is if you produce on the field then you could get NIL opportunities. Because if you look at Blake Corum getting million plus, look at JJ McCarthy getting million plus, right? If you produce on the field, then you're rewarded for it. That makes sense to me. However, we have to compete, and we have to compete against these money cannon situations on occasion. Not always, but if somebody is a culture fit and they're not just me and after themselves, but they just want to secure a better life for their family, I'm okay with that, right? Like if they are a special player, I think losing Underwood was a miss, and Michigan has the money. Michigan collectives can get the money from donors. What was it? 7 million all in with housing for the family. We could have gotten them 10. Our donors are rich. Our alumni are rich. Like, that was a miss. And now he's going to go to LSU and go 9-3. I understand that they obviously just had a Heisman. But would you rather go 9-3, or would you rather win a national championship? I mean, that's or at least get in the playoff. I mean, that's the question. All right. I am trying to catch up here, but we appreciate everybody sticking around with us here. Underwood wants a Heisman, not a Natty. I mean, I'm sure he would love both. We still have 100 people here. Anyone want to call in? I'm going to put the call-in line here. I don't want to wrap just yet. We still got a bunch of people in here. So if somebody wants to do a quick call, we'll do like one call, maybe two, one-on-one, no panel. We'll do one-on-one. If somebody wants to give their take on Harbaugh, NIL, or the way too early depth chart we discussed with TJ, I'm going to go ahead and give one or two people the opportunity to give their take live on Michigan Wolverines Live. Is Underwood a me guy? I don't know. I think the reality is that, imagine account 22. I want you to imagine that you are 17, 18 years old. And I can't speak to the financial situation of the Underwoods, but like 7 million or 5 million in cash plus jobs and housing sounds pretty life-changing to me, and no matter who you are. I think there's an element of this that's he sees opportunities to better his socioeconomic situation, and that's understandable. But I guess we'll see. So we've got here friend of the program, Moose, is in the house. Moose, thanks for stopping by.
Hey, what's up, John?
Not much. I figured, we still got it's still lit in here, so I figure let's take a call or two.
Yeah, we got quite more people in here than we normally do. It's crazy.
We love it. We love it. So what do you think? You think Harbaugh's gone?
As much as it pains me to say it, just from everything that I've been hearing and everything that's going around, yeah, I think he's going to the Chargers.
Yeah.
My thing is, I think he will, but I hope he doesn't bring Mentor with him, because we could use Mentor really bad. He's a really good coach. So.
Yeah, Minner is a tough one, because I think he's gone if Harbaugh goes. I think Harbaugh's definitely going to want to bring Minner, and so yeah, I could see Clinkscale, or somebody mentioned the other guy from the Ravens coming, and TJ Ronin Sports Talk mentioned potential. Yeah.
I would love to have McDonald back.
Jim Leonard was the one TJ mentioned.
Yeah, he's probably a good candidate too. But I think if Minner goes and McDonald's available, I would love to get McDonald back at Michigan, because he's another really good defensive coordinator.
I'd love that too, but I'm pretty sure he's good. he's probably either going to
Yeah.
stay another year at the Ravens or get a head coaching job. So,
That's true.
I mean, if they win the Super Bowl, he's probably getting a head coaching job.
Yeah, I'm just not, and don't get me wrong. I think Moore is a good coach. I don't know. I don't know, John. I'm just not sold on him, John, as a head coach. I'm just not sold on Moore as a head coach.
Yeah,
And I think it's some of his play calling's been questionable at times, especially in the Penn State game and
yeah.
a couple other games.
Well,
Maybe they can figure it out.
you and I were talking during that game, and I was a little underwhelmed, but then when I heard how injured JJ was, and what like their passing, like they didn't need to risk him. They didn't need to risk passing when Penn State couldn't do a damn thing against our defense. So like that's what like they had a philosophy this past year: do whatever it takes to get the dub. So if you needed to pass to get the dub, which he kind of did a little with Bama, and there a couple of really big plays against Ohio State that involved passing, including with not just JJ passing, but I think we had a Donovan pass in that one too, didn't we? And so there was some trickeration going on. But yeah, like their philosophy, which you can't really argue with the result, was just do whatever you needed to do to win. And so I kind of understand it.
Yeah, the thing with the Harbaugh situation, if he leaves it, I'll be sad about it. But in another way, I kind of be happy too because, like we were talking about earlier, Jim has been holding us back on recruiting with his NFL antics, man. So it's like every year it's the NFL circus with Jim. So it's like, am I staying? Am I going? Am I staying? Am I going? And why he's doing that, these recruits are like, well, these recruits are thinking like, why do I want to come to Michigan when I don't even know who's going to be the head coach? And he's been doing this every year, so it's like, it's killing us in recruiting, man.
Yeah, it is killing us, and it's tough. But I do think once this is decided, whether it's Harbaugh or Moore, or God forbid Brian Kelly, I just can't even with that. Regardless of who it is, but definitely Moore or Harbaugh. I think recruiting will start to pick up again. Once the decision's made.
I will take Moore in a heartbeat over Jim or Brian Kelly. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is like how James Franklin's name was mentioned for jobs every year for a whole bunch of time. I think this is just they're trying to angle. Brian Kelly's trying to angle for a raise, for going 9-3 at LSU. Get that bag,
He's trying to make his resume look good. That's what it is. Oh, I got interviewed by Michigan.
Yeah. I hope they just level up Sharon Moore, do it quickly, get the contract done, and get it done, or sign Harbaugh back. But we got within the next week, I think this needs to get resolved because it's
I don't want
to bump recruiting back up.
Yeah, I don't want to hear any more about the Brian Kelly interested in Michigan thing. That needs to be put to bed.
Absolutely. Well, Moose, thanks for stopping by. We got another caller popping in here, but appreciate you supporting us as always.
No problem. Thanks for having me, John. Go Blue.
Go Blue. All right. Next up, we've got Mike Fort. Kelly's not happening.
He's not. Did you know that we?
It's crazy.
You remember what happened when Tennessee hired Greg Schiano, right?
Yeah, there was a uproar about the Penn State time, wasn't it? Wasn't it about Penn State?
It was. I honestly don't know why. I mean, I don't know why the fools down in Knoxville, revolted against the Schiano hire. I thought that could be the best thing, but I mean, Kelly coming to Ann Arbor would be that times 10. I said in the chat, I don't think Brian Kelly makes it off the tarmac. I think he comes face to face with an angry mob saying, "Get the hell out of here."
Yeah, almost there was only one Michigan fan that was actually like, I could get down with Brian Kelly. Pretty much everybody's like Sharon Moore or Jesse Minter. If Harbaugh leaves or Mike Hart, I mean, I'd take Mike Hart. I'd take any of those three over Brian Kelly.
I don't think Hart is ready. I think in maybe 3 or 4 years, Mike Hart should be a legitimate candidate for head coaching jobs if he continues on this path. But I think he needs to step into a full-time OC position first, get some success there, then kind of migrate to head coach, because I don't see him as a head coach just yet.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, do you think Harbaugh is definitely gone, or you think there's a chance that this gets saved?
Yeah, he's gone. I was kind of surprised about Chargers. I mean, if you'd have told me, 5 jobs, I'd have said that was the last one, because I'm on record as Spanos is one of, if not the worst owner in the NFL, and the Chargers is a bottom 3, bottom 5 job. I mean, one of the knocks I had him on was that he was notoriously cheap, but I mean, if he's throwing $18 million a year, that's not cheap. But
that's a great way to get rid of that stigma. Like, he has an opportunity now to wipe that stigma completely away if he hires Harbaugh at $18 million a year.
Yeah, but I mean, without using the word Herbert, I don't understand how anybody could make a play as the Chargers being a good job.
Yeah. I mean, Herbert, but not just Herbert. There are weapons on that team, and I think Harbaugh is in a unique position, because we talked about this with TJ a couple minutes ago. But like, he had Pete Carroll when he came from USC to the Seahawks. He had this unique competitive advantage, because he knew all these recruits, and he knew all these players from recruiting and from developing them and from facing them, facing against them. So he knew who I bet Harbaugh would be able to pick his dream list, because I think he has probably a good pulse on who they'll take first round, second round, who he can wait on until third or fourth. Because he knows both. He knows college, he knows the NFL. So he's got that Pete Carroll-esque perspective that few others have.
Well, I'm trying to think back, because it's been a while, but I mean, the Seahawks weren't exactly terrible when Pete Carroll took over, were they?
I don't really recall the record. Let's see.
But I mean, this Chargers team went 5-12 this year. I mean, yeah, okay. I mean,
that was called bad coaching. That was just bad coaching.
Okay, yeah, I admit coaching wasn't that great, but still, I mean, I think, and the problem is, I think they have enough talent where they should be better than a 5-12 team. But I think it's too much of a reclamation project. Now, having said that, I think when he took over that dumpster fire that Mike Singletary left the Niners, I think they were either 5-12 or 6-10, or I mean 5-11 or 6-10 his last year.
Yeah, I'm trying to, let's see, Seahawks. Let's see here. So they fired Jim Mora, so that's never a good sign. So Jim Mora went his last year his only year with the Seahawks. He went 5-11. So there you go, 5-12, 5-11. So not great. Before that, it looks like they went 4-12. So yeah, not great for the Seahawks before Pete Carroll arrived, and then he was able to obviously start winning some games. It took a few years before they started really getting up there, but he was able to improve the program, I think.
Well, and I think if he gets the Chargers, we can kind of kill the whole he's going to draft JJ talk.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I mean, there's no way he's going to trade out Herbert and put in JJ McCarthy. I mean, I like McCarthy, but that's just a stupid move.
No, there's no way. No. Justin Herbert's your franchise quarterback, period. I could see JJ going to a team that has a mid quarterback right now, and there's a lot of them, right? You got yourself Danny Dimes at the Giants. He could get tossed out for JJ in a New York minute, right? Yeah, you got the Patriots. Who do they have at quarterback now? The freaking mac and cheese and Zappy, one of those two. So you got the Pats, you got even the Cowboys eventually are gonna. I know that they have that 40 mil with Dak, but like Dak has a ceiling, and Dak could get traded. And I think if JJ has a year, I think he needs a year if possible to learn and learn how the differences of the NFL. But I think he could. I think he has the skill set to start right away. But I think you should do like at least half a season. Mahomes sat a year. So
Aaron Rodgers sat 3.
Yeah. Yeah. Stan's kind of. I'm with him on that one. Yeah, the Giants and the Raiders and the Raiders. There was talk about JJ and Harbaugh being a package deal for a while until they signed their coach. So I think the Giants would be a great fit for JJ for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, that's the talk I've heard most. Is Giants seem to be an ideal landing place for him. Get rid of Daniel Jones.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean. Look, I think we're gonna learn a lot the next week on Harbaugh. I hope this gets resolved in the next week, and then, I hope JJ gets drafted high, decently high, because then that'll be a good look for Michigan. Like, hey, look, JJ got drafted in the first round and got $10 million in bonus money. So if you ball out at Michigan, this is what you could have.
And if he gets that top 20 deal, maybe he can kick some of it over to our NIL.
Hey, well, that's what CJ Stroud just did for Ohio's NIL.
Yep.
So
I heard about that.
If CJ Stroud could do that, and I'm glad that he's not like I actually like the kid, and I couldn't root for him, when he was at the Buckeyes. But now that he's he literally won a playoff game his rookie season. He's that's rare. He's a rare talent. And so he's donating to Ohio, and maybe JJ will follow suit and donate to Michigan.
I mean, what does it say about how good he is that he took a dumpster fire in Houston? I mean, they were terrible after Deshaun. Oh dear God.
Yeah, that was. I mean, they were projected this year to go another 4-13, like just dumpster fire season. So. The fact that they won a playoff game first year, that's I'd say that's pretty notable.
Oh, and I'd be remiss to mention, who his number one target is, don't you?
Which person number one target?
Well, you know who CJ's number one target is?
Nico.
I like to think Nico gets some of that credit. Call me biased.
Nico, absolutely. I mean, he was a big reason I was like, not like rooting, but kind of like, okay, if they win and Nico is the guy, that's getting all these targets, I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. We want our Wolverines to do well when they go to the NFL.
Oh, can we time out Jason? He just called him Nicole.
There you go. He fixed it. Nicole.
Oh, Nicole. Oh,
yikes.
I'm not letting you get away with that one, Jason.
Oh man. Oh man. I think that is a good place for a stopping point. So Mike, any final thoughts for us?
No, like I said, I'm just appreciate you having me on and doing what you do.
Hey, thanks for coming by, and thanks for always supporting us.
No problem. Go Blue.
Go Blue. Okay, let's take a few final comments and then we'll wrap it up. Will Michigan go full on triple option next year? Orgy can do that. No, but I think that they will RPO more. I think that they'll play action more if Orgy is the guy. If Kurt Campbell is the OC, you are going to see more play action and RPOs with a pass component than what you saw these past few years. He obviously he is a quarterbacks coach, so he wants to showcase his quarterbacks in the pass game. Yes, Moose is right. I appreciate all of you coming. This show has been fired up and lit, and whatever adjective you want to use. It's been a great show, and we're going to try to continue that momentum in future weeks. We had a great guest, TJ. Definitely follow him at Ronin Sports Talk on Twitter. And you know, as I've mentioned before, up next, I want everybody to go over and just give Oregon Ducks Live a like, and just get them started, get them set up for success, because they're going to be talking about the Oregon 2024 schedule preview, which we'll do that as well in future weeks. I want to get through the way too early for the defense next week, and then we'll do schedule after that. But go on over and help out the Oregon Ducks program, and we'll get that going. Here's the link, and really appreciate some of these comments. You do a great job here. I appreciate that. Not everyone would agree. There's definitely a couple of people who would disagree with you, Scottish. However, I thank you, and go blue. And there we got Dependent Fanatic, who's always here, and we appreciate that. Dependent Fanatic, obviously knows his football, and so the fact that he stops by, we appreciate that. Bill O'Brien, thank you, Tom. Yeah, Bill O'Brien, that's an interesting one, right? So I'm hearing that actually Ryan Day is going to continue play calling. So everyone should be a little less excited now, right? Because if Ryan Day continues play calling, they're still going to have I think he's much better than Bill O'Brien as a play caller. If Bill O'Brien takes like a Kevin Wilson-esque role, I think that makes a lot of sense. Because when Kevin Wilson left, I think there was an impact on the team. And so Bill O'Brien's going to probably take that role because just like Kevin Wilson, Bill O'Brien's an experienced coach at the NFL and college level. So as long as he's not the play caller, I think this makes a lot of sense. If he's the play caller, rut-row. But if he's just a Kevin Wilson type, I think it's fine. I think it's a solid, it's a decent hire. I mean, Stan, you say that, but like, Ryan Day wins 11 games a year. Ryan Day loses one, and so he's got the hot seat on him pretty good. I will say it wasn't very good against Missouri, but I think the whole team was just kind of done. They didn't hit their goals, and they didn't really want to play against Missouri. Devin Brown going down early. I mean, he probably got 90% of the QB1 reps, if not 100. So they were kind of, once he went down, that was not a great sign. So yeah, I mean, just look to the Georgia game. The man can play call, okay? And I think he can play call significantly better than Bill O'Brien. So I'll give him his flowers on that. I think he over-relies on the pass, and he over-relies on his quarterback's passing ability versus, encouraging them to run if they're able to run. I'd love to see more read option like Urban did. CJ Stroud had 2 games, really, Northwestern and Georgia, where they ran. Bill O'Brien is a legend. I mean, he's sort of legend might be going a little far. I would say he turned around Penn State in a time when Penn State really needed help. He went to the playoffs with the Texans. He got Bryce Young a Heisman at Alabama. He didn't do so hot with the Patriots this last go around, 12 point something points per game, not great. But overall, I think if they put him in a Kevin Wilson role, he'll be fine. Look, I would love that. If Mullings is so good that he gets RB1, this is the guy who was a linebacker, people. He was a linebacker. If he's good enough to get the starting running back, give it to him, man. Give it to him. But I think Donovan Edwards is still he's gonna play a big impact role. MHJ did win. I mean, MHJ is a huge reason they won. Like the man is. I throw around generational a lot sometimes, and I shouldn't, but he is a generational player. When he was out, that offense did not look the same at all. Because I think he covered up some of the issues that were going on. And he had good, he obviously played with McCord in high school, so they had that long time connection as well. He could just make he could catch pretty much any ball on the field. I mean, it was just so ridiculous. Like, I was genuinely worried that we would lose that game. Rod Moore, obviously with that interception there, saved it. But like, MHJ was good enough to get that touchdown. So I'm glad Rod Moore was able to save us from that. Let's see. Yep, Marshall might come in as a stud. Absolutely. Ryan Day play calling. I mean, he just, again, I think I got to give him more props than that. Watch the Georgia game. There are times when and even against Clemson, when they beat Clemson, I mean, he has had really good games as a play caller. And like 2021, he had a really good game as a play caller. It's just that he didn't have a defense, so like, he didn't have a defense, but he had CJ Stroud, he had Olave, he had Wilson, he had Jackson Smith and Jigba. That was a stacked offense that year. Let's see. Yeah, they're getting 5 stars, and good for them. They've gotten 5 stars the whole time. They've never not had 5 stars, right? I think this notion that, oh my God, Ohio State's all of a sudden getting 5 stars. They've always gotten a lot of 5 stars. It just hasn't mattered that last Saturday in November. The last 3 years. But we will see. Yep, running back room is awesome. He's not dominating teams with more talent. Play calling has been his issue. Okay. Let's see here. The asterisk police have arrived. Uh-oh. Let's see here. Well, I can't really make fun of them for that because I go on the rivals channels. So I go on Menace. I go on to some of the rival channels and chop it up. I think it helps make you a more well-rounded commentator when you leave your comfort zone and leave your bubble and go into the hornet's nest. So I watch other shows. I go to other shows, rival shows sometimes for a different perspective. Sometimes it's good to leave. I mean, I'm not saying it's an echo chamber, but I think it's you get that dose of positivity, I think, a lot of times. And so listening to the rival perspectives, I usually disagree with 80 to 90%, but like, you still learn some nuggets that you wouldn't learn if you just stuck with your team's bubble. So I'm actually okay with having rivals in here. Buckeyes are welcome. Penn State fans are welcome. Sparty is, well, just kidding. They're welcome too. Just be respectful. That's all I ask. Don't call each other names. Attack opinions. Attack the content. Debate the content. That's all I ask from everybody. but Buckeyes are very welcome. We had 2 Buckeyes on the panel at the Ocho. 1 Michigan fan, me, 2 Buckeyes. So there you go. Yeah, 3 points was a little rough. True. Answer is Keon Sabb. That's the answer. Keon Sabb is going to take over at Nickelback. That's a little preview for next week's episode of Michigan Wolverines Live. Yup. Great coordinator, head coach. Yeah, I mean, I think he's had ups and downs, but the man has lost 3 Big Ten games. That's it. 3. Urban, Urban's the gold standard, right? Well, Urban lost to freaking Iowa. He lost to Purdue. If it wasn't for a 2-point conversion missing, he could have lost to Maryland and not been the Big East champion in 2018. So Ryan Day wins the games he's supposed to win. He just doesn't win that one, and that's what they're at. But to be fair, if Urban was coaching right now, I don't think that Ohio State would have beat Michigan all 3 of these years. Maybe he would have won 1 or 2 of them, but not all 3. So I think there's also an aspect of Michigan as a much more talented team now. And much better coached, much better strength and conditioning. Had Day not run off before, he would have kept it. No. Harrison was gone. MHJ was gone. He's a 2nd overall pick. He's gone. He's going to make $20 million. True, Rob. But Keon Sabb's going to be the nickelback. But true. Yeah, Shea Patterson. Oh, boy. I like that. The program will be okay. Absolutely. I believe unless they hire Brian Kelly. There you go. Let's see here. Yep, and I love that. I love the 2016. Yeah. And that we might have a whole show on that on the Ocho one. We have a whole off season to talk about. Was JT short? And I've looked at it from every angle that I can, and if I'm taking my maize and blue glasses off, I honestly still can't tell. And I think part of the reason for that is because the angles that they use then. One of the referees even commented on it years after the fact that they did a poor job of showing the different angles. So, but even if it wasn't for the spot, there were multiple much more questionable ref calls, unsportsmanlike on Harbaugh, DPI, missed PI. Those were much more egregious than the spot, in my opinion. And those would have impacted the game and drove it more to Michigan's side. Let's see. We just keep going here. I appreciate everybody commenting and chopping it up in chat. If you haven't hit the like button yet, please do so. Detroit Lions talk with Opaz. You don't like Kelly rumors? Hell no, I don't like Kelly rumors. I think he's overrated. I think has he even won a single big game? He beat Alabama 1 year at LSU. That's it. That's his big game that he has won in years. When was the last time he won a bit? He beat Michigan State once. He beat Michigan a couple times. That was 5-6 years ago, 7 years ago. He's not very good. And, obviously some off the field issues and some issues that we've heard about that I won't repeat here, but just, I don't like what I've heard. And you have Sharon Moore right there. He's going to be the guy. Clink scale. Yes. Thank you for that, by the way, everybody who was here and helped us get nearly to 150. Well, Well, no, if Brian Kelly comes, he's gonna start saying like, "Don't you know?" and he's gonna start calling it pop, and he's gonna go the opposite way if he were to come here. Yeah, Leonard makes sense. Okay. Well, Jesse, I'm going to answer that for you. The answer is it's sort of clickbait, but we both, myself and my special guest, both believe he is going to the Chargers based on what we've heard. So the answer is it's kind of both. But that's what we do here at the Voice of College Football. We want to get people in and then hear the insight and analysis that you can't find anywhere else on the internet. And that's what we do here. And Mark Rogers obviously does a fantastic job at spearheading it. So there you go. Kelly should go to CMU if he wants. There you go. Brian Kelly, step right up. You are a Central Michigan Chippewa. So there you go. I disagree. I strongly, vehemently disagree with this. I think he's gone. But is there a chance he stays? Yes. I'd say it's at this point 5%. Based on what we've heard, based on the fact that his wife came with him to the interview, based on some of the numbers we're hearing. Let's see. I can't stand Urban as a person, but you got to give him his respect. But the one important metric is he did go 7-1 against Michigan in his career. Not 7-0, 7-1. Why? Can anyone tell me why there's a 1? Trivia. Yeah, I think 10-2 is a very fair prediction. Yeah, I think it's. Look, I said 6 months ago I thought he was gone. I think he's gone. Now, if he stays, I would be so happy to be wrong. You have no idea, Account 22, how happy I would be to be wrong. Thrilled, like over the moon happy. We will have a celebration show with multiple I'll try to get some great guests, and we'll have a celebration show for Harbaugh staying, but I just don't see it. That is not the only reason. Account 22. Rewind the tape, my friend, to the first hour of the show, and you will hear the analysis with myself and TJ Ronan Sports talk of why. But I think it has a lot to do with the Super Bowl, because he wants to win a Super Bowl. He was one play away from winning a Super Bowl against his brother, but his brother now has the ring and might get a second one very soon. I think that eats away at him. Okay. I respect your opinion, man. And everybody's got one. That's the great thing about America. We all have our opinions, and we may disagree sometimes. I don't disagree with this. I disagree with that will keep him at Michigan. Number one, if they don't get the immunity clause put in, there's no reason for him to stay. If they don't, because the NCAA is a loose cannon that could do anything. So if they don't get the immunity clause put in for him and the 3-person panel to decide his fate, there's literally no reason for him to stay, in terms of, like, he could just not be the coach for a year or 2 years, or get fired for cause. There's so many things that could happen with the loose cannon NCAA that exists. Or he could go to the Chargers, where he doesn't have to deal with the NCAA anymore. Yes, he'll have his own set of issues. Yes, he'll have to deal with the GM, but they're probably going to pick a friendly GM for him. And he has to deal with Spanos, the owner. But, like, right now he has to deal with an athletic director he doesn't like. we have to, and it seems like the feeling is mutual. Okay. So athletic director, not really in his corner. Apparently some of the regents might not be. I think Regent Acker, who I've had a tweet exchange with, is not one of those people. I think Regent Acker wants to keep him at all costs, as he told us on the tweet. But it seems like there's some resistance there. Resistance to asking for donors for NIL, which seems to me to be a no-brainer. Hey, Stephen Ross. Hey, X, Y, and Z, mega rich donor. You want to throw a couple mil to our champion circle and to our NIL programs, so we can continue winning national titles? Apparently, there was actual resistance to that. That blows my mind, because when everyone else is just firing up the money cannons, Michigan doesn't really, I guess, hasn't seen the value in doing that. Now, we still want a title. I mean, look, you got to factor that in. Want a title. Yes, okay. I know. I understand this. I understand all of these points, but I'm talking from a legal perspective. And legally, if he doesn't have protections and they won't give them to him, then he could be fired for cause. And that would put him in a worse situation, because then he doesn't have any job. Now, granted, he's very rich. He'll be okay. I think he's got like 30 million net worth or something like that. So maybe no reason to stay is a little harsh. Because you're right. He could have a statue. He could be the greatest coach of all time at the winning. But I think he's one of the top two now. I think he's surpassed Bo. He's got a Natty. I think in terms of the modern era, he's one of the top two. Maybe like he took a 5-7 program, elevated it to 10-3 right away. Won a bowl game. Took him a few years to cross the Ohio State hump, but he did it. Fired Don Brown, all of these things. And, 3 straight back-to-back Ohio State victories, Big Ten championships, and now a national championship. I think he's now definitely in the modern era, maybe the best, the greatest coach at Michigan at this point. You'd have to go back to Fielding Yost or like the 40s to really get an equivalent winner at the very highest levels. So you guys can tell me if there's another that's up there. Well, yeah, I'm talking about at Michigan. Yost, Bo, I'm assuming that's Bo, Carr, Harbaugh. Well, Carr, yeah, I think that's a fair take. But Bo never won a national championship. Bo never, he never got to that level. Yes, he's a legendary coach. He won a lot of games for the school, beat Ohio State. But I'd put Harbaugh second, potentially. Yeah, that one, because Carr had a lot of meh years. We don't remember that. We remember the 97 team, but he actually had a lot of meh years in there too. Correct. He did. And so you want to put him second? I respect that. But Movies America is going one step further and is putting Harbaugh first, above Fielding Yost, people. Fielding Yost. He was beating everyone by a bazillion points. I don't know about that. Okay. I think we're about at the point. Wanted to keep this rolling because we still had a lot of people viewing. We still do, honestly, have a decent amount of people viewing, but I need to get my workout in. I got to put in my work for the night. Get that going. I'm in the business center here. Got the gym right over this way. Can just get that done. And while I'm putting in work, I'll listen into the Oregon Ducks live show here at the Voice of College Football. So let me get the link one more time for the Oregon Ducks live show, and just head on over there in 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Exploring with Ben and everybody, we'll do the 2024 schedule preview for Oregon. Until next time, this is John D'Adamo saying, go blue. See you around.